last time, you would have realized that they were the same design, but multiple heuristics were violated. So people talked about, hey, help and documentation is violated. Somebody else said, well, the aesthetics were violated. Well, how do you know what is the root cause? What is the root problem here? For today, let's actually go through one of the really important skills that you will need as a designer, which is prioritization and rationalization, which is you need to have a reason for why you're doing something. Okay. And this is just one skill that I'm just going to give you a show of what you need to do. But and how do you prioritize a problem? So the simplest thing that Simran taught us last time was impact and probability matrix. Okay. So what you see here is a matrix where you're looking at, okay, what is the probability that some kind of a problem is going to happen? And what is the impact that that event is going to cause? Okay. And all you're looking at is high, medium, and low. Is the probability high, medium, or low? And then is the impact high, medium, or low? Okay. Now, if you go to the next slide, what you're going to look at is, this is one of the ways that we look at is when you're critiquing it, you can use, we are using heuristics. But again, like I said, there are, 20 different types of heuristics. Okay. The simplest one by far is the Nielsen-Norman heuristics, which is why we are using it in our in the way we teach, because it's easy for you to pick it up and learn. Okay. So for those of you that were here last time, you would have realized that they were the same design, but multiple heuristics were violated. So people talked about, hey, help and documentation is violated. Somebody else said, well, the aesthetics were violated. Well, how do you know what is the root cause? What is the root problem here? Okay. So very simple technique is, if you just take all the 10 heuristics and you look at the same problem, but you say, okay, yeah, it doesn't have visibility of system status. Okay, good. Well, what is the score for it? Well, it doesn't have help and documentation, same problem. It violates both. So, well, what is the score for it? Whichever one has a higher or a more severe score on it, that's the one that wins. That is usually the root cause. Okay. So what we are going to do today is you guys are going to go off. All the people that have turned on their cameras are going to be assumed that you are the ones that are interested in participating. You will go off into your breakout rooms. Okay. And you will get one problem, and then you will discuss amongst yourself. There'll be a mentor with you in the room to guide you if you have any questions or thoughts. But you will discuss amongst yourself and you will find the problem and give me, well, what the severity is for that problem. Okay. Or actually, well, where does that problem stand and what is the root cause problem? So that is what you're going to do. Okay. Everybody ready? Just type in yes, and then we can get going. Go.
I'm going to start the breakout rooms. I'm going to assign people in one by one. And then the breakout room would be open for 15 minutes for ideation. Now, team A is Saurav's team. Team B is Simran's, and team C is Bhaskar's.
Okay, so are we ready to share our thoughts?
Team 1.
Yes.
All right, share your screen and tell us about all the problems you identified. Tell us what is the core issue. What was the problem? What is the issue that was noticed, and then how you graded it on the heuristic scale.
So I think from team A there is only Akash here. And yeah, now Varun.
Just share my screen.
Okay, Akash, go for it. You'll have 2 minutes, Akash.
Yeah. So we discussed about specific scenarios that.
Akash, what is the problem? Can you show us the screen and tell us what the problem is there? Yeah. So can you explain to us what the problem is?
So I'm talking about the top navigation bar of the ICICI mobile app, where I'm specifically talking about the type or speak to search functionality. So the use cases for critical problems where a user want to quickly do things right in the app. It's like a get shit done task, right? So here the major problem is it's not the search bar is not visible enough for user so that it's persuading user to use it effectively. So that's where it's decreasing the efficiency uh, by 2x, right? However, if you use that particular search functionality, it's more of a quick navigation uh, in the app, right? You wouldn't get any useless recommendations on search bar. It's just a
All right.
link and
So
then you
now
read.
can you go into the prioritization, slide 6, and explain to us how you did it? Yeah.
So we discuss about some specific scenarios, whether we should consider for new users or existing users, and how should we think about some critical problems that are faced by user. So and then after that we said that okay, we have these two heuristics which are relatively strong, uh, that refers to this problem. So we discuss what is the impact and the probability. So for the match between system and the real world, we discuss that it should be the probability of users coming into the app is mid, because there are different kinds of user, and the frequency of using the app is not that much, but yes, it's also important. So that is why the impact is also mid. So that's where we have mid step. And then we have visibility of system status. So we can see that hence it's not persuading user to use that particular functionality, which is very useful in terms of increasing efficiency, and user can quickly get to that point without following 10 steps. So that is where the impact is high, and the probability would also get high if there are like more number of critical problems faced by many number of. Thank you.
Where is the impact and probability high one? Where did you put that X? Which one is that?
So the impact is the probability is on the y-axis and the impact is on the x-axis.
And you said both are high.
Yes.
But then here it is marked, one is high and the other is medium.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just consider these quadrants as high, and then these cells as low, because it's the
Akash,
visualization
you
that
cannot create your own strategy of naming things once it is put on the sheet.
it's just the visualization is so strong that my eyes just get into the high thing.
We
All right,
found
cool.
another problem in the chart itself. We can argue whether that's a problem or not and rate that as well.
Okay, cool. So what you've done is you've identified two heuristics, visibility of system status and match between system and the real world. Okay. And you've basically said one is a high probability, but medium impact. The other one is a medium probability, but a high impact. Okay.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, both are equal. However, the key question that I would ask is this a appropriate heuristic problem? Okay. Because the issue that comes in, if you go back to the design slide number 5, okay, look at how many different elements are competing for the person's attention. Okay. There's a play button, so there's some kind of a video. So I'm assuming the whole thing is a video. I'm not sure. Or there's like lots of different icons that are grayed out, but different call outs out there. And then on top, you have some cards, which is below the header, you have some cards. And within the header, you have at least about 5 different elements, including the menu, the search. There's a voice search feature, there's a chat feature, and there's a logout feature, I guess. And then on the bottom, you have other features. So I would actually say that the overall interface itself is really busy. Right. And the problem is not whether people can find search or not. The problem is whether people can find what they want or not. Okay. So that is a larger problem. So if you go to slide number 6, I would actually say it's a aesthetic and minimalistic design. That is where the problem is. And I would say it's a high. And the reason I would say it's a high, okay, probability is pretty much every user that comes there is going to have the same problem. Okay. And if you look at the impact, it's not just the impact of the search box. It is the impact of every feature. Anybody wants to use any feature, except for the one main feature that is highlighted under the header, people are still going to have to search for it. So for me, the challenge is that people are going to be lost for a while. So I would argue that aesthetic and minimalism is probably a high. So Varun and Bhaskar, do you have any other opinions? We need to close it in about 30 seconds when we go into the next team.
No, I would agree with you. I think it's we didn't discuss the use case properly, so we had confusion until the last point in terms of what is the use case, because obviously for the first time user it will not be for the first time user because they've already got the credit card or debit card, whatever they're having, right? So it's a second time user. So in terms of a recurring user, the screen has to behave in a certain way for a first time user and a second time user. So for second time user, the options for him to work around with the whatever that he has with the options, it has to be evident. All the quick like for edge cases, it also has to cover all those things. So I was just from that intention, yes, I mean on a larger picture, aesthetic and minimalist design, but then in terms of the match between just for the search functionality, whatever you're trying to search for something, the screen is not doesn't have any option, right? So you're just match between the system and real world is also a problem, which is like you're trying to search for things, but there's only option is to search. So that is what we were like. I didn't get the use case until we finished the conversation. So
yeah. So but here's the interesting component in here is, should somebody say a search box, the visibility of a search box is a heuristic issue?
No, I don't think so, because it's evident. So that's what the consistency and standards are always in any search bar. Either people will look at the top part of the platform or at the bottom most part of the platform. So this is anyway there. People will.
So then that is another issue. Then what you've identified is consistency in standards, which is another problem.
We discussed that
because the standards for a mobile design have not been met here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So if you look at consistency in standards, what are the consistency in standards? Where would it come in? Okay. Probabilities everybody's going to get to. Everybody's going to see this screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, how severe of an issue is it? And consistency in standards is actually just as severe. Probably, I would say consistency standards is actually much higher, because every time people come in, even if I'm a returning user, I'm going to have the same issue.
Right.
Okay. So I would say the consistency in standards is also an high.
Why do you say high in terms of impact as well? Because see,
the impact I would say is because whether you're a returning user or the first time user, okay, what this system is allowing you to do is it's allowing you to do 1 or 2 tasks that you do regularly, always. It'll help you do that again and again. God forbid you coming in for saying, okay, I want to send a demand draft. you have to search for it. You can't find it.
Right.
Okay. So anything outside of the norm, you cannot find it.
Yeah.
And that is why I say the impact is high, because whether you're a first-time user or a second-time user, you're always searching.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say the root cause in all of this is consistency and standards. If they just meet the consistency and standard, they would actually solve this.
Yep. That's what we discussed actually in terms of consistency and standards is what we discussed.
Yeah. Cool. And okay, so let's go on to the next team. Bhaskar, is it okay if we go to the next team in the interest of time?
Yes.
Cool. Who's the next team?
Fine.
Next team is Simran's team. So who's
Alright.
presenting?
Cool.
I
for it.
present and let one of them talk.
Okay.
So who wants to go? We had Tanya, Anita, and Charu.
I can go.
Go
I
ahead then.
can go. Okay. For me, what I as it's a BB Daily Big Basket kind of thing, grocery. So we have regular subscription. So I found this task to be very important, especially and from the business perspective also. So subscription was important thing. So for me, it was everything was high and lack of information. So for lack of information, users were not being informed properly, and the process was very much scattered. So for this, we have highlighted the problem of not guiding the user properly, and the heuristic being violated is user control and freedom and flexibility and efficiency.
So what you're
yeah.
saying right now is something that you had identified.
Yeah, and the
but as a
third
team-
heuristic that we identified was recovering and diagnosing an error.
Okay.
Identify and diagnose from error. Yeah.
Okay. So the three heuristics that you mentioned was match between system and real world, flexibility and efficiency of use, and help users
recognize,
So
diagnose.
can you tell the rationale as to why we had we had graded it in this manner?
I started with the problem and rationale itself. So for this, the very first, which I found the most being violated, the priority one would be flexibility and efficiency of use. Although we have rated help users diagnose, recover from errors. Yes. So as per the quotations, so priority one would be help users diagnose so that they can recover from the error. And the problem here was that they were not able to go to their path from where they started. So that was number one. Second is flexibility and efficiency of use, where the users are not guided with the process. And
this is the second.
Match between system and real world, which is kind of medium impact and medium probability. You can add here something.
Okay,
As we're not aligning with this thing. So,
so I'll just sum up what Anita has said.
Yeah.
So basically, from what we had noticed with the problems here, we had prioritized we had identified three heuristic violations, top three heuristic violations, and we graded them accordingly. So the reason we went with high probability and high impact on help users recognize and diagnose from errors is because over here there is absolutely no option in the page that can help them change the details to help them recover from errors. So this is something that's going to be faced by every single user who subscribes. So hence probability is high. And also the impact is high because there is absolutely no way of helping the user to recover from any error apart from closing the particular page or closing the application altogether. The second thing was flexibility and efficiency of use that we identified. And what we noticed there was the process is very scattered. So you have one user flow for adding money, one user flow for subscribing. So it's not very aligned, very structured process. And that is also something that every subscriber is going to face, but the impact is pretty low. And match between system and real world is because of the fact that it goes against a lot of users' expectations when they journey through the application. And this is something that we put in medium probability and medium impact. So the priority would be help users to solve this first, followed by fixing this, and then third by fixing this.
Okay, generally a root cause problem is you solve one, everything else gets solved automatically.
Yeah.
So I would agree with this. The way I look at the problem is it says on the screen, it says you booked it. Okay. And subscription is about to start, but really you're not going to get the stuff. Okay. So, and you will probably not have any messaging. You'll probably might have SMS or whatever. So it's like your subscription is not going to arrive because you don't have money in there. Okay. So the core challenge, and it could also be, so this is also an interesting thing. I'm just going to keep it simple, and then the more complex one we can talk later. But the way I look at it is there's no way for people to tell what their status is. Do I have money in the bank or not? Okay. And is it going to work or not? So let's go to slide number 10. I would say, yeah. So it's like number 9 works, help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. So there is no way for people to even tell that there is an issue anywhere. And the consequence, the impact that you said, yeah, if I don't get the stuff, it's a severe consequence for the business because the business is losing money. It's also a severe consequence for the user because the user says, listen, you promised that you will deliver, but you never delivered to me. Okay. And the chances that the user will go to a different company is very high. Okay. Or might even just walk over to the store and just purchase it because, Swiggy or whatever that website is not delivering it to me.
It's a big basket.
Big basket. There you go. So big basket is not going to deliver to me. So that's what it is. So I would completely agree. Number 9 is a severe, and that is probably the root cause.
There is one interesting thing that we can talk in this thing. So big basket, actually what it does is, even if you don't have any balance, it will actually calculate that negative balance. It will update your wallet as a negative balance. That it will charge the subscription. And then once you are actually getting delivered, it gets delivered. And once you are already in the process, it will raise you that your your wallet has a negative balance. Please recharge. So that's how they are fixing it.
So, but the stuff will get delivered to you, even if you have a negative balance.
Yes. Even if it is even if you have a big basket subscription, BB daily subscription or something, it will automatically renew even if you don't act upon it, and it will get charged into negative balance.
Right.
That is
so in the light of that data, let's go back to the severity slide number 10. Would it be severe? Would it be a high impact? If you're going to get delivered anyways, chances are, let us say that I get a bunch of stuff delivered and I'm leaving the country after that, I don't pay my big basket stuff, then now big basket is out of money.
Also, I can change phones, I can change SIM cards. There are so many things that I can do.
Yeah, business is losing, which is why.
Yeah. And also, it's sort of very cheap on the users end, right? Because they are charged with negative amount, and now they have to owe big basket an amount, which makes them puts them in a situation of debt. So
again, I would say, what if the other person did it deliberately? So there's also the use case where I have done this on Amazon or whatever. Amazon would just deliver, and so I didn't necessarily have the time. I'd take out my credit cards or whatever. I'd remove my payment thing, and Amazon said we can't deliver because your payment is not there. And I'm like, that's fine because I'm traveling. So I did it as a hack. Okay. So again, overall, I would say it is still a high impact. It continues to be there. So it just is something that needs to be resolved. And, that's a good enough place. I mean, you can also call it visibility of system status. But the point is, they did not show the status they didn't say that the confirmation should have the status of the wallet. They didn't actually realize that both of those are connected. Okay. But for now, I think number 9 is good. It's a good to go. Let's go on to the next one.
Lakshmikant, Mohan, or Padma. So anyone can speak. Mohan, I nominate you.
Yeah. So, sir, actually, this is a different case because if they are mistakenly creating like this design, we can consider these heuristics are problem. But the problem is they wantedly created like this design. So they are creating these, increasing the steps to rethink about the cancellation of Amazon Prime. So that is the thing we are discussed about that. And moving to the user's perspective, what are the heuristics violations and why we are prioritizing the high, low, medium? I can explain. Yeah.
Simran, next slide.
So this is the violations of visibility of system status and user control and freedom. Because moving to the previous, yeah, they are the main goal of the screen is cancellation of Amazon Prime, but they are not giving the directly that to that feature. So that is the problem. But they wantedly create like that. So that is the reason, that is the medium, probability and impact also. And visibility of system status is they are prioritizing all the CTS are the same color. So they can read all those things and after they can take the decision. So these are the things we are providing impact and probability also medium. They can do that, but they take some time.
Okay. So that's where you basically said it's mid, and then mid both. User control and freedom is with. So I would actually argue that user control and freedom is probably, everybody's going to have the problem. Everybody's going to see that the buttons are not immediately visible. However, the impact is low. Okay. So I would say it's a high-low game. If you look at visibility of system status also, it's all visible. All you have to do is scroll. And the argument is, there's a lot of other stuff on top of it. There are 3 other buttons on top of it. And this is probably slightly below the fold. Okay. But the impact, I would argue, is still very low.
I think
yes, sir. But the screen main goal is the cancellation the Prime. So they are not prioritized.
Yeah, but what is the impact? Because if people are looking to cancel, the screen name is there. If they scroll, they will find it. They are not going to, stop canceling. If I want to cancel, it's not stopping me from canceling. My task is still getting done. I'm not picking up the phone and calling customer support, which will cost the company money. So that is also good. Okay. So
yes,
overall,
sir,
I would say
my
the
thing
impact
is
low.
Yes, sir. But my concern is if you are that prioritizing the secondary button, not primary button, so that is also have effects for the business, right? That is also useful for business, right?
Yeah, but it's in the, in this case, the business doesn't want you to cancel.
Yes, sir. That is the reason we need to low prioritizing the CTA.
I have a question for Mohan with regard to visibility of system status, in fact, because there is no, I don't see a violation of system status, in fact, because all these bugs are functioning.
We were thinking from a experience standpoint, like how does this person reach to this screen, right?
Okay.
So if you look at it, so these option to cancel is hidden under your account and account is hidden under somewhere else, which is not at all visible upfront, right? It is wantedly done. So that's the reason why we think that it is a visibility of system status.
No, but the reason I'm having a doubt understanding or even like associating that to this heuristic is because every single time I try to discover every page through the journey of canceling, I'm being updated constantly. Like, for example, if it's settings, account information, etc., I'm being updated about everything. So there is system status constantly being fed to me. But with regard to bringing visual hierarchy towards the ending the subscription would come under for me again in the minimalist design, because you want to create a sense of priority. So there's aesthetics and minimalist design would be something I would have found as a violation rather than system status, because it doesn't really disalign with that.
Yes, partially agree, because we are talking about how they initiate this screen, But once they initiate this screen, then it is aesthetic and minimalism, right?
No, but even when they initiate, also the system is giving them status of which page they are on, right? Like even this page also, it says that we are sorry, we are seeing to go. Please confirm. So they're showing you which page you're on, and there's documentation to support.
No.
system
Even
process
before
as well.
coming. So how do you identify that this is a page you have to go to cancel?
So Bhaskar, we do not have that data, so we are not going to comment on that. Okay.
Yes.
Let's just specifically look at this, because I mean, there will always be ifs, thens, and buts, right? So what
Yes.
the question is, why would we need to worry about it? At the end of the day, people who want to cancel will still be able to cancel.
Yes.
Okay. And therefore, if you go to slide number 14, I would argue that both of them are low. So if you could do the X, Simran, if you could edit it and put the X on the high and low, because everybody's going to see it.
Here is it.
Yeah, that will be high probability, but low
Impact.
Yeah, and the other one is also high and low. User control and freedom. Yeah, I mean, everybody sees it, but they're still able to get their job done. Now, before we go, I want to just talk about what Charu just said on the chat. She said it's a dark pattern. Okay. And this is really, really important for us to understand. What is a dark pattern? Okay. A dark pattern is something that forces the user to do something else because it is not in the business's interest to do it. Okay. So that is a dark pattern. But when you're designing dark patterns, one of the things that you have to realize, and this is a really good example of a dark pattern, because what you have to realize is you still want to help the user complete their task. And as a part of your professional life, at some point or the other, you will be asked to design a dark pattern. Okay. And designing a dark pattern is a very delicate task, because if you design a dark pattern that's in the red, what happens? Your customers leave you. Okay. If you design a dark pattern that's in the yellow, your customers get irritated with you. And if there are other irritants, and then overall everything just adds up, you're not happy with them. Or they're not happy with your product. Okay. The trick with designing a dark pattern is putting it in the green, where it's a minor irritant. If they find it, that's good. Okay, yeah, I was still able to find it. It still makes sense. But at the same time, it took me a little bit longer. And that's exactly what Amazon did here. It is a dark pattern, but it is not a huge issue. It is not a big problem. You're still able to find it. You're still able to say, I'm canceling it. And all the other solutions that are up there, which is exactly what Simran was saying, right up there, you have the messaging. We are sorry to see you go. Okay. It is saying, yes, this is the cancellation page. You are confirming it. And then you are saying you could also consider. So there is messaging that clearly says, okay, I know you want to cancel, but here are other things that you could do. You will remind me later, or keep my membership, or I want to pause it until October 31st, so you can come and pause it. And what is interesting is you can pause it for a month or 2 months and come back, and it'll automatically get unpaused. And finally, it says, no, I want to end it. Okay, so when you look at that, it is all related content. It is related contextual confirmation, contextual information. So at worst, it is still in the green. Okay, so it is a very well-designed dark pattern. Okay, and that is what I want you to take away when you're thinking about it, is a lot of times dark patterns don't necessarily mean we have to solve it. It is there for a purpose, for your business, so that you can continue your business operations, and then you can reduce your cancellation. That's great. And just by doing this, your cancellation rate drops by about 20-30%. That's a huge amount of money that you're looking at the company, that you're looking in terms of the company. So again, all of us are going to be doing something or the other like this in the course of our career. So it's good to understand how you do the dark patterns. Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. Any questions or thoughts before we end today's session? All right. So yeah, you're gonna fill up the feedback form so we can fill it up and we can get the feedback. We have some, just to give you a little bit of heads up, we are in the process of changing the larger structure of how college engages. And we will be letting you know. So there's some really exciting changes that are coming through, and we'll be we're looking forward to sharing that with you in the next couple of months. But other than that, I would say have a great weekend and talk to you soon.